Let's talk about how we're going to incorporate type into our business card. But before we do that, I'm going to place our logo. And for this, I'm going to copy and paste it from the finished version of the logo that I worked on in the earlier series of movies on creating a logo. And since I want my logo to bleed off the edge of my business card, I'm going to use this version of it, the bleed version. I'm going to copy that, Apple or Control-C, and then come back here, paste it, and then I'm going to scale it into position, holding down the Shift key so that I keep the scaling proportional. Like so, and I'm making sure that the logo extends to the bleed guide, the outermost guide, so that if there is any inaccuracy in the trimming of the card from the sheet, then we are not going to see any white edges of paper. By the way, I have on this preference, show hidden characters. That's why I am seeing those carriage returns. Let's just turn those off for a moment. Okay, now here is my type, just as one type block, and this is currently in Helvetica 12 point. But I need to change this. I want to use a more appropriate font, and I want the type to be quite a lot smaller than it currently is. Now, the font that I'm using on my logo is Myriad Pro. So for that reason, that's what I'll be using for the type in my business card as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is change that to Myriad Pro. Now, if you're working on your own business card, use a typeface that is going to be in harmony with the typeface in your logo. Don't necessarily just follow what I'm doing, but in my case, for what I'm doing here, Myriad Pro is appropriate. And let's open up my character panel for more type options. Now 12 point I think is far too big, so I'm going to come down to 9 point. And the leading, the space between the lines is currently set at auto leading, and I think that's probably fine. Maybe let's just nudge that up to a whole number, make that 11 point. Now I've decided this in consultation with my client. We have decided that the information that we want to include, obviously the person's name, the telephone number, the address, the email address, and the website. There's no fax. There is just one telephone number. We're not worried about Skype, not worried about AIM or iChat, but this is what we want. Now, the exact details of what you put on your business card is going to vary according to how you want to be contacted and what kind of business you are. Now, this interior guide here is the line that I'm using as the safe area for my type. So I'm going to position my type like so. And I think I would like to separate the name and the telephone number from this type block. So I'm going to select those two lines and cut that from there, hold down my Apple or Control key, click outside of that type block, make a new text insertion point, and paste. So let's bring that back down to there, and possibly we want the name and the telephone number to be bigger. Let's go up as big as, is 12 point going to be too big? I think maybe it is. Let's have 11 point, and then I'm going to make just the name in bold as opposed to regular. Now I want to align my type with the logo, so I'm going to draw myself a guide there for the baseline of the type on the logo, and then bring baseline of the name down to that point. Some fiddly things relating to type. When working with numbers, if you're using a typeface that is an OpenType typeface, perhaps you have the option of using different numbering styles. And let's explore that. So I'm going to select the telephone number, which is obviously a fake telephone number there. So I'm going to select those numbers, and then from the window menu, come down to the type option and the flyout menu and choose OpenType. And here, figure. I can use these different numbering styles, and I am going to use proportional old style, which is going to give my numbers ascenders and descenders so that they just blend in a lot better, I think, with the regular text. And having done that there, I also need to do the same thing there and in my postcode. One other fiddly thing that we might want to consider is the telephone number style that you use. Now, maybe you're going to put the area code in parentheses, maybe you're going to separate it with a period or with a dash. Whatever you do, just be consistent about it. In this case, I'm not going to do anything. I want to keep it as minimal as possible. And perhaps, maybe I just want to go very minimal, not have any punctuation at all. I think on reflection, I will. I'll keep that. But this symbol, the @ symbol, can tend to look a little bit too big, I think, when seen in the context of the other characters. So if I really want to get into the nitty-gritty, perhaps I will scale this down just a fraction by 1 point. And I think it just blends in a little bit better at that size. And I want to make sure that this and this share the same left-hand edge. And just to be sure of that, I can use my Align panel and click on Align Horizontal Left. And then that needs to nudge down a bit, and I think we've got our type in place.